Hey everyone, welcome to Silver Falls State Park. We are about an hour and a half south of Portland, Oregon, and we are here to shoot some waterfalls today. Brought my wife Kim along with me. She's going to help do some recording, and then I will do some photos and do a little tutorial and what have you on shooting waterfalls. Pretty nice day today. We got up around 5 a.m. Hoping to get here right around sunrise, which just happened just about half an hour ago. So the light's still pretty soft, so we should be able to get some nice photos. I'll be shooting with the Nikon Z6 that I purchased about a month ago. This will be the first time I've had it out doing some landscape photography. So, missing some pieces. I don't have the filters and what have you that I need for some photography, but today shouldn't be an issue with the light the way it is. So come along and we'll show you around the park. And to mention, I don't know that I mentioned, but this park has 10 separate waterfalls. So we're not going to be able to get to them all today because I think it's an 8-mile hike.
Yeah, 7 or 8 miles.
You can park at certain sections, so if you're ever in this town, it's not like you have to, if you're ever in this park, you don't have to hike all 8 miles. You can actually park in some sections and then walk. But for now, we're going to go ahead and try to get as much as we can today. And so come along and hope you enjoy. So the cool thing about this first fall is, as you can see, there's actually a trail that you can walk right behind the waterfall. So if you have camera gear, be careful because you're going to get a lot of spray. You get a lot of water on your lens and what have you. You don't have it covered, but pretty neat that you can walk around it. So this falls behind me that we're walking around, that is South Falls. That's the biggest waterfall they have here, and that's the one that I'm going to try to get a shot of today. Hopefully if we have time, I'll try to get some others, but this is the main one that I want to try to get. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of scout the area. I've shot here a few different times before, so I already know that this bridge that I'm standing on here is really the best spot vantage point for it. But if you look this up online, you'll see a lot of people shoot it from the sides as well. There's different trails you can take to get different compositions, but for today I just want to kind of get it a straight shot on. That way I've got some water in the foreground that'll kind of help with leading lines and what have you. So yeah, that's the plan for now, and then I'll show you guys how it turns out, and we'll walk you through some of the settings and what have you that I use to shoot waterfalls and the different options that you got. So let's get to it. Alright, so a couple different things on this specific setup that I've got here. Number one, if you're wanting to shoot waterfalls, make sure you've got a tripod. You can try to handhold, but you're going to end up getting some camera shake, especially if you try to slow the shutter speed down to get kind of that soft, dreamy waterfall. So as you can see, that sky's pretty bright. So what I'm trying to do in my composition is making sure that I get the least amount of sky that I can get into it. That way the camera meters correctly and I don't end up overexposing the photo. So that's why I'm not trying to get any sky. There's just nothing really interesting to see. There's no real clouds out today. It's supposed to rain later. In fact, there's not even really blue skies. It's just kind of an ugly gray.
So this is the first photo I shot. It's horizontal, long exposure. I think they're about a second on the shutter. And I believe this was about an f8. And I don't mind it. It's just pretty dead in the winter. It'd be a lot prettier if it was fall, but not too bad. I like it better than the vertical one that I'll show you in a moment.
Alright, so now I've switched to vertical instead of horizontal, which is really cool. Of course, if you're shooting waterfalls, you want to be able to get the whole thing. And this will allow me, instead of zooming in on the waterfall, if I'm going horizontal, it'll allow me to get some foreground in the photo as well. And this, with this particular tripod, it's a pretty neat little tripod. It's an Alta Pro. Pretty sturdy tripod, but it also has a ball head that flips over so you can go vertical. It's pretty steady. I'm not concerned about it falling over, tipping over from the weight of the camera. This thing is not moving. So anyway, we'll take a couple vertical shots and see how those come out as well.
So my first shot wasn't overly impressed. Just didn't have a lot in the foreground to shoot other than the water. A lot of dead trees and bushes and what have you on the side, so I tried to cut some of that out. And it looks like I might have lost some focus too in the waterfall itself. So average photo at best, but a good learning one for the rest of the day.
So one of the nice things about the Nikon Z6 and a lot of newer cameras is they come in with a built-in leveler, which is really important in landscape photography. You want to make sure that your horizons are level. One of the main things that people see between an amateur and a professional photographer, especially when it comes to landscapes, is a lot of times the horizons are off. So make sure that you use that level. If you don't have a built-in level, you can always buy one that you can stick on your hot shoe. That way you can make sure you're level. The tripods as well, this tripod also has a level on it, but when I start recomposing the shot with the ball head, that doesn't always help. So yeah, one more very important thing, if you don't have a remote shutter, you want to make sure in this camera systems you can actually set a timer for your camera. And usually what I'll do is I'll set a 2-second timer. That way when I hit the shutter button, it gives the camera a chance to steady. If you don't have that timer and you hit that shutter button, you're going to end up getting some shake in the camera, which is going to end up with some blurry photos. And so if that's an issue that you've had and you've noticed you have some blur in your photos, since you have a tripod, go ahead and just use that 2-second timer. And that way you make sure you don't have any shake. Alright, so I got all the shots that I wanted to get from this spot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to walk around real quick, make sure there's no other shot that I want to get while I'm here, and then we'll head off to the next waterfall. So I came across the bridge looking for another composition for a waterfall shot, and then came across this really cool mossy tree. It's wintertime here, of course, in the Northwest, and so we got a lot of moss on these trees. Like I mentioned, I think this is actually somewhat of a rainforest in here too, so it's pretty cool. And the neat thing about this specific shot is we got some leading lines here from this path that'll help kind of guide the eyes to this tree. Had it been there all by itself, it still would have been a pretty neat shot, but the fact that now we have this pathway for some leading lines and this little fence here, I think will make for a pretty cool photo. Alright, so we're at falls number 2. What's it called? You know?
Little North Falls.
Little North Falls. So as you can see here, get any closer to the falls and you're just going to get blasted with water. Right now, in fact, I'm going to cover that lens. So I'm going to cover that lens up while I'm chatting because any closer and that water is just going to splash all over the camera. So there's not a whole lot of spots for a composition here because you either have to get down in the water or you've got a hillside here. So they've got this little cutoff so you're not blocking the path. It's pretty cool though because you've actually got this little log here and then you've got some growth. You know, we are in the winter and it's still really pretty out here, but you can imagine this is even better in the fall. But it's nice though, you got the water and all this in the foreground, and then you're going to get the waterfall itself. So we'll do a couple compositions, we'll do a vertical and then a horizontal as well, and then see how they turn out.
This was probably one of my favorite shots of the day. Just all came together. You know, you had some nice foreground and then some really cool color as well. So really like this photo. Probably one of the better waterfalls of the day.
Alright, so we're at our last waterfall. This is our third waterfall, North Falls. Like I said, there's 10 of them, but it's about 8 miles to get around, and when you're trying to do photography and getting around, it's not a very easy thing to do.
Alright, a couple last shots of the day. Pretty impressed overall with this Nikon Z6 so far. The colors are beautiful, it's easy to use. Exactly what I was hoping for when I bought it, so far loving it.
Alright, so overall, that was a good day. Got a few waterfalls in. 3 of them. I apologize on the last one. It was pretty loud and the walkway was really busy. So the one main tip that I'd have for you is if you're a landscape photographer and you really want to do this and make something of it, you really got to get up early. We're up at 5 o'clock this morning. You may have to be up, stay late for sunsets and what have you. That's when you're going to get the best light anyway. So anyway, hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please hit the like and subscribe button. We'll see you next time.